So listen, you might not know this, but sugar and simple carbs are making you depressed. And I don't know if this is controversial or not. I really don't, because I know most people understand that sugar makes you fat and sugar makes you unhealthy, and sugar has all kinds of effects that we don't like. But something that I never hear talked about is how the wrong type of diet, and in this video I'm going to focus especially on sugar, how much this affects our mood and our mental state. And this is really a no-brainer for those of us who've really delved into like holistic medicine and kind of tried to understand how the body functions and how health works. This is no surprise. Like, I totally understand now that anything that affects the body negatively will affect the mind negatively, and vice versa. So it really shouldn't be surprising to us at all. But let's just go a little bit into the mechanisms behind it. Like, one of the main negative effects that sugar has on our body when we're binging on sugar is insulin is spiked. And insulin is a hormone that among other effects has the effect of telling the body to convert glucose into fat, so basically body fat. And it has various other effects as well. And when you're stuck in a loop of spiked insulin and then an insulin crash in between, then your blood sugar is going to be out of whack. Your blood sugar is basically what determines your physical energy throughout the day. And like if you have high blood sugar, you usually have a lot of energy, and you can do a tough, how do you say it? Like a tough workout. Your muscles have energy. But if you have low blood sugar, then you'll be very lethargic and you won't have the energy to do what needs to be done. And when you are stuck in a cycle of crash and spike and crash and spike and crash and spike, your energy levels will be totally out of whack. Your hormonal levels will be totally out of whack. And this has manifold repercussions, but I would say one of the main ones is that after a while, your body will become obviously it will become quite unhealthy. The more sugar that you eat, the more unhealthy it'll become. You won't be as excited to get out of the house, to go and exercise, which is incredibly important for mental health. Like, you want to go out into nature, get fresh air, you want to exercise, you want to do a workout, just even take a walk. Like, these things are just incredibly important for mental health. And if you're constantly crashing and spiking like this, you won't have the motivation to do that. So that's one area. Obviously, also, you'll start to look worse and feel worse, and that will in turn make it more likely that you will start to suffer from depression. Another thing that I've heard mentioned, but it's not often mentioned in the context of mental health, even though it is obviously very, very related to that area, is that sugar really messes up your microbiome, the gut microbiome. And it both causes inflammation in the digestive system as a whole, but it also increases like the growth of all kinds of bacteria that or organisms, I should say, like Candida, for instance. Candida being a fungus, but not a bacterium. Better keep that straight. But there are all kinds of negative effects from microbiome imbalances, and they severely affect our body and the body's energy systems, but also our minds. And obviously the two are very interconnected, and it's not surprising that this is the case. But this is just really something to keep in mind. Like, I know most of us know that binging on sugar is what's causing us to be fat and lethargic and lazy and stupid. Sugar does also make you incredibly stupid. I can't remember the exact research team that did this experiment, but there was this experiment where you had a rat in a pool of water, and in the middle it had like a platform that it could get up onto. And the first rat was put into the pool of water. It hadn't had any sugar, and it was just swimming around, and it swam around for like 3 seconds, and then it climbed up onto the platform because it didn't want to be in the water anymore. The second rat, however, was put into the same pool of water, except it had been fed lots of sugar beforehand. And this rat swam around in the pool of water for, I think, like half a minute before it just realized, like, oh yeah, there's a platform here and I can get out of the water. And it did so. But this just really goes to show that, you know, it's almost kind of ridiculous that, you know, you can't drive under the influence of alcohol. Well, that's not ridiculous. That's actually very sensible. But you can drive under the influence of sugar. And this is something that, you know, people should really be aware of, that sugar really affects your mental capabilities. So all of this together kind of makes it so that we're way more susceptible to becoming very depressed and very anxious. And that's really something that's very important to keep in mind. The final point I wanted to make was that sugar is well known to cause inflammation, systemic inflammation, obviously, especially in the digestive system, but all over. Like, it both causes and exacerbates existing inflammation. And I'm now working from the premise that depression is actually in large part caused by inflammation and hormonal imbalances in the body, and not from the chemical imbalances that are so often spoken about in the brain, even though those are also there. It's not that there aren't chemical imbalances, it's just that the reasons behind those chemical imbalances aren't genetic, and they aren't inherited, and they aren't incurable and only treatable by, you know, drugs from big pharma. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I hope you like and subscribe, and you can check out my book on health down below. It's called Health Simplified. I think you'll find it very interesting. It's very cheap as well, so check it out. My website, joyofawareness.com, is also full of articles that you'll probably enjoy as well if you enjoyed this video. I go into a lot of the similar stuff that I go into on this channel. Otherwise, I just hope to see you next time.